Which defenses should you target and who should you avoid for Week 12 of the NFL season? We'll go over all of that in this week's episode of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, these are not my full weekly DST rankings. If you want to check those out, you can click the link below, which will take you to the article that I'll update as the week goes on when we get weather updates and injury concerns and things of that nature. We're going to start, as always, with our accountability check for what was a pretty strong Week 11 for our video picks. Our solid defense, the Los Angeles Rams, scored 9 points and finished as the 5th-ranked defense on the week. Our stud defense, the Houston Texans, scored 19 points and were the top scoring defense of the week. And the defense we faded, the Los Angeles Chargers, scored just 3 points against the Bengals, so we're happy we avoided that matchup. The part where we slipped was that our sleeper defense, the Browns, scored just 1 point against the New Orleans Saints. And it's pretty clear that I need to stop picking on the Saints even though they have no healthy wide receivers because they have Taysom Hill, and apparently that's all they need for fantasy success. My sleeper defense for Week 12 is the Los Angeles Rams. Consensus has them at 20th, and I have them up at 9th on the week. Look, I'm just going to keep putting the Rams in this video until they get a little bit of respect. Over the last 6 weeks, the Rams defense is averaging 12.2 fantasy points per game, which is tops in all of fantasy football. They ranked 2nd in pass rush productivity rate, 6th in turnover rate, and 12th in explosive play rate allowed. Yes, the Eagles are a solid offense. They give up the 13th fewest fantasy points to opposing defenses, so they are a slightly below average matchup for opposing fantasy defenses. However, there's an avenue where I think the Rams defense could have some success here. Jalen Hurts has taken the 6th most sacks of any quarterback in the NFL. The Eagles rank 30th in sack rate allowed. So this Rams pass rush could get some pressure on Jalen Hurts. I think that's an avenue for them to get into the top 10 here in a matchup with two pretty strong defenses going at one another. Since there are so many teams on bye this week, I don't think you can really bench a team like the Rams who's playing such really good defense over the last couple of weeks or couple of months for that matter. So I'm happy to put the Rams in my top 10 this week. Before I get to my solid defense, as a reminder, pause this video, comment below, let me know which defense you're playing in Week 12, or ask me any start-sit questions, and I'll get to those as the week goes on. My solid defense for the week is the Washington Commanders. Consensus has them at 7th, and they are my 5th-ranked defense of the week. Now, the Commanders let me down this week on the Thursday night game against the Eagles, but the Eagles are obviously a far better offense than what the Commanders are going to see against the Cowboys in Week 12. Over the last 2 months, the Commanders are 4th in pass rush productivity rate. They are 6th in opponent scoring rate, and they are 13th in turnover rate. They do give up some big plays, and their secondary has been a little leaky, but it's possible that they will get Marshawn Lattimore on the field for his first game with the team after they traded for him from the New Orleans Saints, and that would be really nice to shore up this secondary. However, I don't really think that matters against a Cowboys team that's going to start Cooper Rush or Trey Lance or whoever. We saw the Cowboys give up 19 fantasy points to the Texans on Monday Night Football. I know they hit on one big play, and maybe they'll do that again against the Commanders, but I think the Commanders' pass rush and the rest of the Commanders' defense are going to cause some havoc, create some turnovers. I just don't think the Cowboys' offense has any firepower, and so I'm happy to roll the Commanders out against them this week. My stud defense for Week 11 is the Minnesota Vikings. Consensus has them at 5th, but they are my top-ranked defense on the week. Now, I know some people see the Bears on the schedule and they say, I don't really know if I want to play the Vikings. You know, Caleb Williams hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions, or the Bears are using more of a quick-hitting passing attack under their new offensive coordinator last week. But really, this is just about how good the Vikings defense has been. Also, the Bears have given up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last month. I don't really think that that's going to change given their new, even with their new kind of quick-hitting style of offense. This Vikings defense is 2nd in turnover rate over the last 2 months. They are 3rd in opponent scoring rate, and they are 15th in pass rush productivity rate, and they have averaged 9.5 fantasy points per game over the last 6 weeks. Brian Flores' defense uses a lot of complex looks. They've eaten up rookie quarterbacks in the past, and I really expect that to happen against Caleb Williams as well this week. I don't really think that he's going to be able to drive the ball down the field against this Vikings defense, even though they have some question marks in their secondary. So that's going to get rid of the Vikings' biggest weakness, and then I think the rest of their defense will thrive against this Bears offense that's been really giving to fantasy defenses over the last month to 6 weeks. The defense I'm fading for Week 12 is the Miami Dolphins. Consensus has them at 9th, but I have them down at 17th on the week. Now, I really don't see how we can play the Dolphins as a top 10 defense this week. They had a great matchup against the Raiders in Week 11, and they scored just 6 fantasy points. So if they can't deliver a top 10 performance against the Raiders, I don't see how they're going to deliver a top 10 performance against the Patriots. Over the last 4 weeks, the Patriots give up the 15th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. So they are a bang average matchup with Drake May under center. Drake May has avoided sacks far better than Jacoby Brissett was earlier in the season, so that has mitigated some of the harm that the Patriots' offensive line causes. He's been able to drive the ball down the field, and he's kept the Patriots in a lot of games. He's playing some solid quarterback for the Patriots this year. The Dolphins' defense over the last 2 months ranks 24th in turnover rate, 25th in pass rush productivity rate, and 25th in opponent scoring rate. So they were a bottom third defense going up against an offense that, as I just pointed out, is an average matchup. So I don't see how that elevates them into the top 10, even with all the teams on bye. So I'm fading the Dolphins this week. And if you're in a deep league, I'd much rather play a team like the Cardinals. They're kind of my second sleeper defense for this video. So the Cardinals would be an option I'd prefer over the Dolphins. That's going to do it for this week of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, click the link below which will take me to the article, which will update as the week goes on. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get Pick 3 DST every single week, plus the rest of our football content and fantasy football content over at NBC Sports. And I'll check you back next week for another episode. Good luck on Sunday.